Welcome everybody. It's very exciting for me to be here today. I'm going to share a little bit about my path to drones. And it started very differently than I think in the future what we're going to see with many folks. Esri Environmental Research Institute is the company I work for, and it's primarily a software company that spans across any industry that you can possibly imagine. And we have created a software that enables folks who are not in remote sensing or GIS to be able to work with drone data and use it in their environment without ever having to say the words remote sensing or GIS, and I think that's important. Okay, so what I'm seeing, my roots are, as I said, a remote sensor. My PhD is in earth sciences. I love looking at the earth from above and observing what's going on. I've worked in many different vertical markets: agricultural, geology, forestry. But these are knee-deep, right? If you think about the kind of degrees that are required to actually go in those fields, it's pretty heavy. But what I'm seeing with our software as we go out to conferences, some of the ones that we saw earlier listed, we're seeing every user from post office folks, in the police, crime, FBI agents coming up to our booths, and we never even talk about our technology at all. We're just actually helping them to figure out a way to be able to get their information that they've collected from drones in a format that can work with their workflow, and not really worrying about what electromagnetic spectrums are or what's really going on with the drone, okay? And so my background is traditional surveying and mapping, and really back in those days, we were actually using survey equipment, putting corner reflectors out as their aircraft, whether it was a satellite or an airborne system, was flying over the earth, being able to tie that information to the ground, because it's great to be able to collect this information. But in professions like many of you are having here, you've got to be able to tie that information to the ground so that you could then use it for something, right? Analyze it, visualize it, extract actionable information from it. Those things are very important. But for many users, they're not going to be in the survey world, and they're not going to be worried about what is photogrammetry or what is aerial triangulation. These are terms that are knee-deep in science that to bring drones to almost the consumer market, we need to put that type of information under the hood. And that's what we're doing at Esri. So we're able to take all the knowledge that we have in the back end of our full ecosystem and put it into something like Drone to Map, where you don't have to have any knowledge of that, and trust that when you take or you collect your imagery from your drones and then you process it, it is valid, it is accurate, and it's going to be important for a crime scene investigator who maybe can't get over to a fire scene or a crime scene to actually take photos, and they're sending the drone there. You want to make sure that that information is accurate. Or, for example, first responders, when boots on the street are maybe not always possible initially after a disaster, and we have to get aerial, and whether it's an aircraft or a drone flying in an area to be able to observe that area to find out what's going on, so that we have a visualization into an area where a disaster may have struck, right? So being able to allow many users have access to this information is important. So with the Esri software, as a career, it ranges the gamut. You can be a developer and creating widgets that allow, for example, a whole series of end users to just with their phone do a swipe to be able to see if in an area of disaster, if their house has been affected by a flood or a fire, something like that. And they're almost removed from this software, and they're using just a web app. An app on your phone, and you can annotate it and provide information all the way back to this ecosystem, all tied by location intelligence, which is very important. So being able to have all of that deep survey information under the hood of this software enables a career path in drones for everybody. And it's exciting, it's fun, it's nice to get outside of the office and to go and play with the drone and look at what you're doing. Right now we're building another building on our campus, and of course all of us drone geeks were monitoring the building of this facility with our drones, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to stay in the office right today. I think I need to go and fly the drone and see where we're at. And that is actually what we're doing. And then, yeah, we go in our office and get in our geeky world and let's do some development and create an app and show our friends or tweet about it. We've had some life on some ducks, babies and turtles in the ponds on campus, and we're monitoring those. So it can be fun and exciting, and I think it is important to have, a career that you love, because let's face it, I believe your most important hours are that you're at work. You're on the job, so you better love it. So no matter what area of interest, I think there's a place for drones. Like I said, not always flying. You don't just have to fly or collect the data, but working and programming, development, all of that sort of thing. Working with software to analyze. We're using machine learning, some playing around with machine learning and plotting out the best route for, let's say, Amazon to deliver your package in maybe congested areas, so that you can get your whatever it is you need instantly, rather than waiting for it to be driving on the road, right? So we are in exciting times, and so I think it's uniting a whole community of geospatial users, although maybe that's not what anyone is calling ourselves, but that's what we are, because we are geographically locating where our data is and where we're looking at Earth to solve a problem, and I think that's an exciting place to be. At least it's worked for me. Some tips for career advice. I'm not going to give that here, but it will be in the slide deck for you to check. This is a slide that I prepared as a whole series of resources that we have at Esri. Our founder and owner, Jack, is very into education, working environmentally and extending help where needed to Red Cross, wherever, and we do that a lot with our software. And we also want to educate the end users to be able to understand how to use this type. So these two drone lessons here, they're free. When you download them, you gain access to the software, and it's a guided lesson. Both of them, I think one is an hour and a half, one is a bit more than that. Not very long, and very quickly you are able to process drone data. And you don't need to use the drone data that we provided for you. You'll have access to that software to be able to use whatever drone data you might have. But it's just a few applications of how to use this software and what you can expect from it. On the other side, we've got case studies, storybooks, people telling how they're able to utilize information collected from drones, projects that they've worked with, to give many users an insight into the possibilities into a career field. So it doesn't need to be stagnant, it can be very creative. We're working with reporters, and as I go to drone conferences now and I see the user base that are coming to visit us, it is incredible. It is certainly not what I would have expected, or what I would have saw 10 years ago just in traditional surveying mapping. It's really changed the gamut, and that's exciting. So I'm looking forward today to getting to meet more of you, network, and see how we could work together and really proliferate many getting more users into the community of using drones. Thank you.
If you can hang up for just 1 second then. While others may be thinking of some questions. So Esri is a very influential company that is doing, essentially you guys are doing software development in the drone industry, okay? And this is one of the things I wanted to have them here. Throughout the day, again, we have different types of industries. You're gonna find, I think, that most people in the industry are using drones for videography and photography. or at least using videography and photography in one element of a career or other. But there are many other uses for drones, okay? What are some of the types of projects that people are using drones for with Esri and ArcGIS?
Oh, it ranges the gamut. I mean, almost any sort of application that you can think of. So, first responders, we have you can create a whole dashboard where we're live feeding in data collected from drones. The software allows you to upload it quickly. It goes right into the cloud, so you don't need to be tied to a desktop. And we're using collector type apps so that we're bringing in some of that survey information as well. If that's not available, we're using our existing data sets to be able to tie that information to the ground and getting it into a dashboard such that, for example, Red Cross, they can use it and many folks can have access to it on their phone. That extends that they can add a button. Yes, this property is damaged. No, it's not. So let's say you're flying drones. As the data is feeding in, it is automatically updated. Folks can look at that to be able to determine what's going on. Fire, police, public safety. If you're putting on an event, we use our software to be able to do situational awareness, how to ensure that we have the right security at the right points, and how to determine to make an event safe. We're working with, as I said, journalists, being able to incorporate drone-derived information, whether it's just images or actually flying over a scene. It also, any type of scenario where you can think of where you want to put not boots on the street and keep folks out of harm's way. But if you go to our website, you'll see a vast array of areas where we work. It's not all just environmental, but anything you could possibly think of, it is possible. So I'll be checking the list that you've prepared and maybe adding to it.
Please.
But yeah, with even our software, I was analyzing just the job titles of the folks who are buying this software, right? The drone software. Or even signing up for a trial, never mind just buying, just who's just trying the software. And what's interesting, because to me, flying a drone and then going to use it in your field of work, you're still trying to do some remote sensing. And the titles of the folks that are actually doing that today are far different from what they were 10 years ago. They're still there, but the volume is less. I'd say instead of maybe 5 or 6 years ago, it would be about 70%, survey and mappers, that type, in many different application areas. But today now we're seeing that that's getting to be about 40%, and the 60% are folks that are not in that industry. And that's why I think we're in an exciting time, because it's opening up the world to many different industries. My husband, he's a photographer. He's using drones and doing drone photography in his work. So it just really opens up the field for many different types of applications.
I was just going to ask, is the API on the website?
Pardon me?
The API, so that you can access the software, the functions of the software?
Well, we are a business, so you do have to have a license for the software.
Sure.
But those two training programs that I put up, that's a free trial, and all of our software you can try it for free for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'd be able to, whatever project you're working on, and you've got a drone, you're flying it and you're collecting it, you'd be able to download it, and it's really, once you have your files in an area, it's a push of a button, and it will process the data for you and store it in the cloud, and then you can share that information. So it's not just a static software, it's in the cloud, and then you can create a web app and an API to then share that with many.
Okay.
You can do that, a web app builder, yeah.
So I actually did have another question that's specific to Esri.
Okay.
So I actually was fortunate enough to go visit their campus. My friend Michael Siebert, I know for a long time, works for Esri, flying drones for Esri, testing a lot of the software. I'm not saying you guys are hiring or have openings at the moment, but if you were to be hiring for people to be working at Esri as part of the drone team, what are some of the skills you are looking for that we can train our students to accomplish and to have?
Right, and that also ranges the gamut, and please do check out our site. There's a lot of positions there, but we're looking for developers, and even all the way to marketers. How do you market drone technology into different fields? So, you can have, if you're a strategic marketer, or if you're a product manager, if you're looking to be influential, and let's say you want to create a drone solution for precision ag. How can you create a solution? We've got farmers that have come in and get a degree in undergrad degree, maybe in science, or maybe not even that deep, but looking at how can we help farmers yield, have a better crop or whatnot, when to water, when not. So being able to unite the technology of drones in what would that program look like? That would be one. But pretty much anything on the side of development and application, any sort of application, because we're using drones a lot more with our company, and the software that I spoke about, it connects to a full ecosystem, and that full ecosystem gets even deeper into our technology. So what we're doing is creating individual solutions for water, for water treatment facility, for A&E construction, how best can a site monitor their area and best determine cut and fill, where's the best spot to locate the building. Getting back to still this geolocation or location intelligence, everything tying it to the ground, being able to pull that information back from drones so that it's tied, and then do analysis. AI is a very exciting area for us right now. It's a hot topic, I think, for many, and that has a whole range of careers associated with it. We also, on the developer platform side, we've recently opened up and modified our whole program and spent a lot of time with developers to say, hey, what do you need from us to make your world more enjoyable, or to make our software more enjoyable to use in your world? So we're very much a user company, user driven, so we do listen to the user base, very much so.
All right, any other questions? All right, let's get one more.
Just how does drone to map, how is it different than other photogrammetry applications like Pix4D or drone deploy?
Yeah, well, actually, Pix4D, we are a partner with Pix4D, and so Pix4D, a lot of their algorithms are incorporated with ours in drone to map. And then we also use ArcGIS Pro, so we have our own photogrammetric suite as well. And so the technology with the drone to map app is really, a lightweight component of our bigger software. And we've just automated it so that folks do not have to get in the weeds of photogrammetry and are able to use drone to map, and you just pull that sort of away from that. So the ArcGIS Pro itself has a full ortho mapping or photogrammetric suite in it, and drone to map is an app from that. It's all connected. The whole ecosystem is connected.
So I can tie my photogrammetry into your data set?
Absolutely. And with drone to map, you'll get an accuracy report that will be able to, you can bring in your GCPs. We have collector apps on your phone. So typically when we're doing our drone projects, we're using a collector to go and collect our ground control, and we're populating it online, which is important because if we're at a site and there's many of us going and collecting ground control, we can see on the fly instantly who's collected that ground control, and we can process the solution instantly. The other thing it does is it allows you to quickly view in the field the area that you've just collected with your drones to ensure that you've got enough end lap and side lap and you haven't missed any spots, and that's important. And that takes seconds right in the field.
All right, everyone, let's give a big round of applause for Lorraine. Thank you so much.